Hey everyone, I hope you're excited for this week's episode as we have some good news and some not so great news. I am pleased to announce with the good news that we have brought on a new team member, and her name is Bethany Barlow. She's based out of Kansas and grew up hunting fishing with her dad and her brothers. And you'll get to see a bunch of footage from her in this week's episode. And even with all that good news, unfortunately, there's always that not so great news. And PA turkey season, we're almost at the first full week. Tomorrow is the first full week of the season, and it has not gone as planned for Rick, Keith, and myself here in Pennsylvania. Whether it was birds not gobbling, not coming in, or if they came in, they've been hanging up at 60, 70 yards in the timber, and it just makes it super difficult and frustrating. So as you'll see in the footage, and as I stated in episode 1, that nothing always goes the way it should on paper, and you'll get to see that in some of the footage we have for you this week. But again, it's part of being a hunter, and that's why we do it. We're passionate about it, and sure, it's frustrating and it gets under your skin, but we try to put all of that stuff into a sense to make us better hunters. What didn't work, what went wrong, did they bust us, and it's all part of that off season and learning different things from different people. Like I said, we're no way near professional hunters. We don't ever want to be, claim to be, or anything that goes along with that. We are very passionate, avid hunters, and we will do our best to harvest our game, but it doesn't always work out. So also this week you'll get to see our new team member Bethany tag out on the Kansas opener, which the hunt was just, it was textbook. So again, just depends on where you're at. We also have a good friend of ours, Ron, from over at Skull Skrapers. Skull Skrapers is a Euro mount service. He does Euro mounts, and he's been doing our Euro mounts for quite a while. And he actually filmed a hunt last year that he filmed by himself with his cell phone. And it's just phenomenal footage, and you'll see more in that in the interview with Ron, and also the hunt. And then right up today, it's just been frustrating. I actually got to go out this morning with another good friend of ours, Alex, and we got out in the woods at a little bit before 5, and Alex had roosted some birds last night. So we figured we had them pinned. We knew right where we were going. We set up, and as you'll see, things don't always work out. But it's nonetheless, it gets us outside. Obviously, with everything going on here in Pennsylvania and across the country, some of our counties in Pennsylvania have opened up to what they're calling yellow areas, where they can open some other businesses. So it's just nice to get outside, not deal with the whole pandemic deal and all the political stuff going on. It's nice to be outside and not worry about it. So obviously, when we're turkey hunting, we're socially distanced by at least 4 or 5 trees. So I'm guessing it's more than 6 feet. So guys, stay tuned for the rest of the episode. Check us out on Facebook as well. We hope you're enjoying the show so far. We're excited. This is episode 3, and looking forward to bringing you guys a whole lot more. So coming up next will be Bethany tagging out in Kansas. So stay tuned. So guys, that was Bethany hunting out in Kansas, and she just laid the smack down on that bird. Thanks to her brother for helping get the footage. And coming up next, we have our friend Ron from Skull Skrapers, like I mentioned earlier, brings this bird in. I swear the turkey was in the 40-yard dash when you'll see this. But check it out. We have a quick interview over at Skull Skrapers that we went over and talked to Ron. He kind of walked us through the hunt, and then you'll see that footage. And you know, unfortunately, birds aren't talking to us like they were last year. So it was great of Ron to say, "Hey, I got this footage. Do you think I can send it over to you?" And we were like, "Sure." It's perfect, and like I said, we're always looking for extra people to be on the show, and you know, it's nice to be able to get out with different people and share those different experiences. So check Ron from Skull Skrapers out here, killing this nice PA longbeard from last year. Hey guys, so episode 3 and turkey season is in full swing here in Pennsylvania. I'm with our good friend Ron from Skull Skrapers. He takes care of all of our Euro mounts. And if you guys are looking for a Euro mount, make sure to check them out. But turkey season has been super rough so far for myself, Keith, and Rick. And Ron here got some awesome cell phone footage last year on a hunt that he shared with us. And I said, well, Ron, we're going to put that on the show. So give me the lowdown, Ron. What do we got?
Last year on the Friday before opening day, I roosted the bird. I called to him when he was in a tree that I figured he was back in the woods off a field, probably 50 yards or so. So I had a ground blind there that I've never really hunted out of. It was made of wood. So I got in that in the morning, and when I was moving around in there, I bounced the bird off roost, and I think it was him. So he had flown down, and when it got light, some birds started gobbling far off to my right, somewhere out in front of me gobbling. There was another bird gobbling on my left, and finally that bird that flew down, he lit up. And when he lit up, I started calling to him, and he was coming, and he took his time, but he sounded like he was down by my truck, like where I parked on the road, and I knew he was coming. So I turned my cell phone and turned all the way around, and I was filming through I thought he was going to come through the woods, actually. And he was gobbling. Everything I did, he gobbled to me. And he come, I guess, by the truck, because I turn and I see him in the field already, and he's strutting. So that's why I turned. You could see on film where I turned with my cell phone and trying to get him on camera. And as soon as he saw those decoys, Avian X decoys, he started running. And it was tough for me. As soon as I got the camera up and he got in focus, and I knew he was in focus on the camera, I rested my gun on the windowsill. You could probably see part of the windowsill there. And I just, with my right hand, one hand, I squeezed it off, and the camera will show the rest.
Awesome. And guys, when he says that bird was running, that turkey was at a full 40-yard dash sprint coming into those decoys, and
absolutely,
he dropped it right in front of the decoys. It was a great shot, and he did get everything, you know, perfectly done on cell phone by himself. There was no cameraman, no nothing. So that was a perfect setup, and the footage you'll see is awesome. So Ron, we're standing here in front of your Skull Scraper sign. So give us a little lowdown on Skull Skrapers.
Basically, I've been doing skulls for the last 20 years. I've been doing them for friends. I've been doing them for family. And I just decided to start it as a business. Friends and family started telling other people, and I was getting busier and busier. And then Don Jacobs from Channel 16 gave me a call, asked if I'd like to be on television. So he put me on TV, and business just boomed from that point on. We did over 300 skulls this year. We do dipping. We basically take your skull, we skin it out, we clean it up, we can whiten it for you, or we could dip it in many patterns. This one here is one of the favorites. It's the American flag, and that one there, a lot of people really like that pattern.
Awesome. And where can viewers go and check you out?
You can check me out on Facebook under Skull Skrapers, and I spell it with a K, as you can see, instead of a C, Scrapers. And I don't have a website yet, but you can also reach me at 570-241-6557. I'm right here in Springbrook, Pennsylvania.
Awesome. Well, Ron, we appreciate it. And guys, feel free to check out his Facebook page if you end up with a deer. And they don't just do deer. So any type of animal, if you're a trapper, you're a hunter, any type of skull that you're looking to get done, Ron here at Skull Skrapers can take care of it for you. So we appreciate it, and thanks for getting us that footage.
Absolutely.
Guys, check them out.
Beautiful. Beautiful longbeard. Beautiful longbeard. Let's go see what we got. I should let him strut a little longer on my decoys, but I couldn't. Let's see what we got. Don't kick me, you son of a gun. That 1-inch spurs. Probably a nice 8-inch, 9-inch beard. Probably 2-year-old. Not very heavy. Ooh, that spur looks nice. There were birds lit up around me this morning everywhere.
So when opening day started, for the three of us here in Pennsylvania, Keith, Rick, and myself, Amber and Pat already tagged out. We knew that out in Michigan. So it was kind of felt like they were putting a little bit of pressure on us. And we thought for sure opening day we were going to get out there and just be done. We'd tag out, all three of us, and call it a day. And at that point, we actually brought Bethany on a few days after the opening day of PA season. So, you know, at the time we're thinking, sweet, the whole team's going to be tagged out, opening weekends in each state, and we can focus on some fishing and some bow tech and whatnot just to enjoy spring and be done. Unfortunately, as I said earlier, PA season has been killing us. Super frustrated. So Keith and I went out opening day. We went over to the property that we showed you guys in episode 1 and thought for sure Keith had some birds that he saw the night before. He knew where they were at, so we didn't know if they roosted there, but we knew that they were in that area, so we figured we can at least call them in and get them into the decoys. And as you'll see, you're going to get a kind of blow-by footage here of our opening day. We ended up going to 4 different locations in 2 different counties, and the only birds that we saw up until coming back to the property were 2 hens. There was no birds gobbling. There was no birds moving that we could tell. We set up actually across the road in one of our properties that we can hunt on the 2 hens that we saw, hoping that if we got the hens to come across into the field, hopefully there was a tom that we just didn't see and he would come in behind them. No such luck. We drove back roads. We drove every which way possible looking for birds in fields, and it was a gorgeous day, so we figured they'd be out, you know, hitting the fields pretty hard for feed. Nothing. On the way back into the property, we actually caught a tom and 2 hens crossing into one of the woodlots on the property. As we were getting back there, we tried to pull a little tactical move and get out in front of them. They either busted us before we saw them, or they just disappeared into thin air. So that's how frustrating day 1 was. Today, which is actually May the 8th, which is the day before a full week of the opener. And I went out with our friend Alex this morning, and today we finally had birds. I mean, all over us. Gobbling. Alex was calling, pulled a bird in, I'm going to guess from at least 300 yards away, on a string. Both of us saw him coming through the timber. He was strutting, gobbling. We heard him spitting and drumming. That's how close he was. And he literally hung up at 60 yards in timber. And you'll see in the footage, we do have him on camera. And from where I had the camera set up at, you can see this bird walking through the timber away from us. And Alex and I hunted those birds pretty hard this morning. And it is what it is. It's just, unfortunately, today was not our day to tag out. We ended up having a couple other birds come in pretty close but hang up. And then we had a bird that came in completely silent. And we never saw him until he got up behind one of our Jake's decoys. And we thought, when we saw him, he either busted us or somebody pushed him, and that's why he came in silent. The property where we're hunting does butt up against state game lands, so we're thinking somebody over there pushed him and he came in pretty quiet. But all in all, again, great day in the woods, great day with friends when we're out there. And today was pretty exciting because as Alex and I were sitting there, we actually had a black bear come in about 20 or 30 yards off my left-hand side, which is probably the closest I've ever been to a bear that definitely knew we were there. So check out the footage, guys. We hope you enjoy it. And stay tuned for episode number 4 next week. Again, check us out on Facebook, and we'll talk to you guys soon. Alright guys, so it's opening morning, Pennsylvania turkey spring season. And Keith and I are out on the property, and we're set up and got the decoys up. His brother Eric came in and he's gonna help call. So we're getting ready to go. I'm gonna give you guys a look at the decoys quick. So we got the perfect pair from Montana Decoys. We got the Jake in the hand right out in front of us, about 15 yards. Alright guys, so we got the first setup and haven't heard a bird all morning. So we're going to give it a few more minutes and probably call it here at this spot and see what we can do somewhere else. So alright guys, we're on our second setup. Opening morning in PA turkey season. No luck at the first spot. Just saw some hens across the road here, so we're hoping that'll help draw Tom in. Hoping they're coming this way. I'm set up to the right. And Keith is over to the left.
How we doing, guys?
Eric is behind us with one of the box calls. And I am running a Rocky Mountain Captain Hook diaphragm. So guys, it's been a long morning. Just haven't gotten anything to respond to any of the calls. Came up to another spot, had some hens across the road. So we're hoping to drag them in and hopefully drag a Tom with them. So Keith, what do you think? We make one more move and see what happens before the end of the day?
Yeah, I think we'll give it a little more ride around, see if we can find some more birds. But it's a beautiful day, but birds just aren't really cooperating. Not talking, and we're just gonna be out feeding now in the sun. So I'm gonna see if we can pick some up on a field somewhere. Give it a round 2 or 3, I guess.
All right, guys. We'll talk to you guys soon.